welcome to our first vlog.
We're in a Honda Pilot.
Heck yeah, we're gonna be analyzing the book A Thousand Splendid Suns. It's really good.
It's really good.
We have like really good discussions about this, like when we got to breakfast.
We went out to breakfast. We got pancakes and French toast.
It was so good.
And hot chocolate.
Definitely a recommendation. If you are reading a book with a friend, you definitely should go to a cafe.
Oh, for sure. It's a must-have.
It's a must-have.
Essentials.
Okay. So we're going to be talking about familial education. Ooh, was that the familial?
Familial? Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about familial education and kind of our, how it's, like, impacted us, but then also the book. So what's going on on, like, both sides.
Correlating our lives with the lives of the characters.
Yeah.
I would say the author, too, but we don't know him, so.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to go first?
Yikes. Yeah. So, this one's my bookmark.
That is your book.
Okay, so... the quote that I kind of that really stood out to me when I was reading this, especially for part 1, because that's the part we're talking about right now, is on page 27. I'd give you a line number, but we're not reading Shakespeare, so anyway, for some context, it's when Nana is talking to Miriam, and she says that a man's heart is a wretched, wretched thing, Miriam. It isn't like a mother's womb. It won't bleed. It won't stretch to make room for you. I'm the only one who loves you. And the thing that really stood out to me about this quote in particular is how, it kind of reflects Nana's, message to Miriam about how, just the relationship between a mother and a child and how that kind of evolves throughout your life, and how it affects, in this instance, your relationships with other people, in this case, men, which we then see later reflected in Miriam's relationship with Rashid.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, this kind of always reminded me of, when my mom would tell me little things. Obviously, it wasn't the same, because then later in the quote, she starts saying she's nothing, and my mom isn't like that.
I have a good mom, I promise.
I have a good mom.
Mom, if you're watching this,
I love you. Nana is a good mom in some ways, but, I've never been told that I'm worthless by my parents. So
she had a different thing in her mind.
She was a little bit different.
She was teaching Miriam in a very different way.
Exactly. So, what my mother taught me was, the example I used when we were talking about this earlier today is, when I was, I think I was about 5, I saw this, elderly man, and I was like, hey, Mom, it's an old person. I think there was other context besides that. And then she was like, Sarah, that's rude. You have to call them the elderly, which is true. You can't just go around being like, you're old.
Hey, man, you're old.
And even, really little things like that. Obviously, this is much, it's, a diminutive of what, Nana was telling Miriam, because that was, really relevant to, Miriam's life, since, that's, the main goal for women in that society is, to get married. But still just little things that my mother in particular, because I have a really good relationship with my mom, has really shaped how I address people. I don't call them old.
You're old.
You're old. Just how I address situations in public, especially because, in your house things are different. But, just how I carry myself, the, mannerisms I use when I'm out, speaking to people I don't know. Just general, overarching concepts of, your social behavior, is what I've learned.
The flip side of that, I have an okay relationship with my mom, but I have a really good relationship with my dad. We are so tight. And it kind of reminds me of the beginning of the book where Miriam is really, really, she thinks that she has this really good relationship with Jalil, and she's like, he's my favorite. I love him so much.
He was he was her favorite.
Favorite. Although she loved her mother, obviously she lived with her, and, you have to love your mother. You were saying, that connection with them.
Yeah.
You obviously have to love
how
your
they
mother.
provide for each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what I really saw is Miriam's trust with Jalil. So, page 21. But Miriam did not believe that Jalil would drop her. She believed that she would always land safely into her father's clean, well-manicured hands. And so you can kind of see how Miriam is, the way she thinks of Jalil is, on this pedestal. Like she says later in the book, she worships Jalil. But,
yeah, it's, idealized.
Yeah, exactly. But you see, the clean, well-manicured hands. That's kind of a temporary thing. And you don't see, not everyone looks like that 24/7. And Miriam sees these high points in her father. But anyway, what I really wanted to highlight was this trust that she has with her dad. And very similarly, like, I have this high trust with my dad. Like, if I have something that's, like, weighing on me, I go to my dad first. And that's, like, kind of the opposite with most people that I talk to. They're like, oh, I go to my mom, because my mom, you know, that motherly thing. But, like, I go to my dad. I'm like, Dad, I have a problem. I need you to help me. I need you to fix this. And, I mean, so far it's worked great. I'm hoping this is not a Jaleel
highly recommend.
situation.
He hasn't married me off to an old, like, 50-year-old guy. It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. He loves me,
good.
and he treats me well.
Yeah.
He buys me good gifts.
Good gifts that have meaning.
It means so much to me.
I'm not his 11th child.
Yeah, so anyway.
I feel like that could also, back to what you're saying about, like, how it's, like, idealized, and you're saying how it's, like, a temporary thing.
Mhm.
Like, that's almost, like, how her relationship with Jaleel is temporary, you know? How it's, like,
for sure.
right? Because it's, like, you know, she put him up there, and, like, you know when you idealize something and it's never as good
Yeah,
as, like,
you're like, ooh, this ice cream's gonna be
so
so
good.
good. And then you get it, and you're like, do you know or understand about your life because of your family? Oh, man, so much.
So I think, like, okay, I'm just gonna go first because I went first
go
earlier.
for it.
Just keep the continuity.
Keep going, keep going.
Like, back what I was saying, like, before about just, like, you know, my behavior in public. I mean, obviously I'm not that kid who's, like, rolling on the floor screaming and kicking and biting people. I was that kid. No, just kidding. I'm joking.
That bite mark is mine.
That's me.
Whatever.
You know, just, like, I think what I've really learned is just how to treat others. Like, you know, you see how your parents treat other people, and you know, like, how they approach situations, and then just by default, like, you start doing that.
Follow that.
But until you have friends and you start becoming an adult, and then you start doing what your friends do.
She made me this way. Family. I've learned a lot. I've actually learned a lot, like, from mistakes is not the right word, but mistakes.
Right.
Like, my mom is, like, extremely judgy, which is, again, why I don't go to her when I have, like, a problem. I go to my dad. And so, like, I'll see her, like, and she won't say it out loud. She won't, because, you know, you can't do that. You can't be like, oh, he's old. Or, like, she doesn't look good in those clothes. But she'll turn to me and be like, ooh, did you see what that girl was wearing? That was not cute. And I'm just like, you know what, Mom?
You're like,
she
Mom.
probably felt really cute when she was leaving today.
And I bet when she looked in the mirror, she said, this looks bomb.
And so, I don't know. I've learned how not to judge people, like, and how to kind of just let people live their own lives, like, not to rule over them. Because I've seen my parents and how they just kind of are like, ooh, that's not a good look. And I'm like, you know what? Let her live. Like,
like, it's
or
okay.
let him live. Whatever he's wearing, go for it. Like,
he can live his life.
Yeah,
I mean, as tying on to that, like, I think in lieu of the election and all this loveliness, you know, there are a lot of people who are like, oh, like, I hope, like, Trump dies, like, I hope someone shoots him. And I remember that, like, this is, like, back in, like, June and whatever, when he was still running and not our president. And, you know, I remember my parents being like, you know what, like, people can have those opinions. Like, you can support people you don't like, you don't like, other people can support them. And, like, you should never wish anything like that on anyone. And that's really, like, I don't know, there was something about that was really, like, humble to me. It's like, you can appreciate people even if you don't like them, or even if, like, you don't like what they're wearing or something like that. You can still be like, you know what,
you should still be a good person.
Exactly.
You should, like, you need to, like, be accepting of other people. And Miss Lapine,
these ducks are still fighting.
Miss Lapine, you, like, always say this. You're like, you live in a more liberal, like, area, so like, we're more open to people's opinions, and, like, other places in the world, they're not gonna be like that. But I do feel like that's just kind of, like, if you're gonna be a good person, you need to respect other people's opinions, even if you have strong opinions yourself.
Yeah, like, I'm a very opinionated person.
You are. I go to for you when I need opinion.
But, you know, like, I can still, like, respect people, but, you know, especially when I was younger, you're more rash. Like, you're more quick to be like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like them, this is not good. And then, you know, when you start getting older, you start, especially because, you know, like, through the guidance of your family, being like, oh, well, maybe I need to reflect on, like, why I don't like that, or, like, what I see is wrong with that, and, like, you know, but can I still appreciate them? Because there are some people and some things that you can't be okay with. You can't be like, you know what, they hate Jews, but that's okay.
You
like,
know
that's
what? Child
not
molesting
okay.
is fine.
It's fine.
Like, no.
The like, wage gap isn't real. Like,
you're like,
no.
Ooh.
See, that's where you're wrong. But
there's a couple things, but those are... I feel like society tells you when things are okay, when things are not.
Like, ethical issues.
Ethical issues
are things that, like, you can't
And that's
really
a whole
have
different thing. That's not even family education.
No.
This is
morals you can tamper with.
Mhm.
You can't tamper with ethics. You can't be like, this is fine. It's like, no.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So, I think for me, alright, so I'm just trying to think about the quote. So, definitely learning how to base judgments off of people. Because, you want to be open-minded, but you also need to know, like, hey, this person's dangerous, like, this isn't a good situation, and, like, how to judge, like, experiences that you have, and then also how to present yourself to, like, society, I guess, I don't know, and, like, know how your behavior affects others.
I think family is a great way to, like, learn stuff, like that, or, like, for me, it was trust, like, who do you trust? Who do you go to when you need stuff like that? And, yeah, family education is great. Okay, bye.
Bye.
We miss you.
I just want to point out that there's ducks fighting behind that tree. They're, like, chasing each other. These ducks, though, you really need to see these ducks. How does this work? I don't know if you can see them. They're over there. It's gonna be great. We're gonna see that later and be like, you can't see the duck.